This is one of my favorite topics to teach because it's so much fun. It's the flower. It's really simple, but there's lots of ways to use it. So when we get to the word flower, we're going to talk about how it begins with the letter F. That's your beginning sound. So F is for flower. We can also stretch out the vowel sound and make it flow like the river. The river flows. You know, sometimes we call our rivers flow too. So F is for flower. Flow is for the river. Now, in the middle here, we have this L and O combination. Now that's a digraph, two letters that make one sound. So L and O together make the O sound. We can practice that. L and O, L and O, L and O, L and O. Nice. So that's L and O makes O. And then at the end we have a, that's another digraph, makes the R sound. Now let's put it all together. F-A-L-A-O-W-A-R-A. So F-L-O-W-R is flower. Now if you want to add an S to the end of this word, that will make it plural. So if you had 2 flowers or 3 flowers, you would say F-L-O-O-W-E-R-S. That's how you make it plural. Alright, let's do a little review. What's the beginning sound? What's the middle sound? What's the ending sound? Let's take a look. Beginning sound is F, middle is O, and the ending sound is O. Now if you were listening carefully, you probably heard each of those sounds. How many syllables are in the word flower? Well, let's take a look. F, L-A, or W-A-R-A. So 1, 2, 3 syllables. 1, 2, 3. How many? 3 syllables. Let's go ahead and try that again. If A, L-A, or W-A-R. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Alright, it's time for some sentences. I'm going to read these sentences, and you can put them in the comments section below which one goes with which picture. Ready? The red dot flower was beautiful. The girl smelled the yellow flower. The boy picked a flower for his mum. Which one goes with which picture? You can put it in the comments. Let's check your answers. Did you say the red flower was beautiful? Perfect. The girl smelled the yellow flower. Excellent. The boy picked a flower for his mum. Fantastic. You got them all right. Wow, you are a super duper star. Keep up the great work. Now it's time to write a sentence. So click that button right there, and on the next screen you're going to type your own sentence. Make sure you include the word flower. You can use the pictures on this page to help you, or just use your imagination. Type your sentence and then click the button to check it. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Now we've learned the word flower. Let's learn some more words related to this topic. So let's talk about petals. Petals are the soft parts that are usually colorful on the flower. They attract the bees and the butterflies. So a petal is part of a flower. Let's practice saying that. Petal, 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 petal. So petal is part of a flower. Next we have leaf. Leaves are green and they make food for the plant. You can see leaves on trees. And also some plants have leaves like these. Look, here's a leaf from a plant. And here's another one. So leaves are green and they make food for the plant. Next we have stem. The stem holds up the flower and the leaves. It supports the whole plant. So this is the stem. Here's the stem. This is the part that holds up the flower and the leaves. And finally we have root. The root grows under the ground and it helps the plant stay in place. So the root grows under the ground and it helps the plant stay in place. Okay, now let's play a game. I'm gonna say the word and you can click the picture that matches. Ready? First we have petal. Perfect. Next we have leaf. Good job. Stem. Excellent. And finally, root. Perfect. You did a great job playing that game. Now let's review all of our vocabulary words. A petal is part of a flower. A leaf is green and it makes food for the plant. The stem holds up the flower and the leaves. And the root grows under the ground and it helps the plant stay in place. Hey, that was a lot to learn. Give yourself a nice slow clap. That was awesome. Now if you want to learn even more vocabulary words, click the link above to continue learning. Thanks for watching. Bye. You can't start a story with weather. It's a cardinal rule. Don't do it. Don't start your story with the weather. It's a cardinal rule that no one really knows why it exists, but everyone follows. Thank God for that. Otherwise we'd have like 50 different ways to start a story. Imagine that. The sky was overcast. A single tear escaped her eye and splashed onto the pavement below. It was the type of day where every sound seemed amplified. The birds tweeting sounded like they were screaming into your ear. The wind rushing through the trees sounded like a freight train barreling towards you. And the rain hitting the pavement sounded like someone tapping the window with a spoon. But she didn't notice any of that. She was too busy staring at the flower. The flower was small, maybe an inch or two tall. with petals the color of dried blood and leaves that looked like they were made of tinfoil. It looked sick, like it had been poisoned by the very earth it grew from. She reached out and touched it. The second her fingers made contact, the flower wilted. It drooped over, becoming smaller and smaller until it was nothing more than a shriveled-up ball. She watched it go, tears streaming down her face. Then she did something crazy. She pulled out her phone, took a picture of the dead flower and posted it online with the caption, "What did I do?" Within seconds, her phone started blowing up. Comments flooded in, asking what kind of flower it was, what had happened to it, and most importantly, how they could get their hands on one. She knew what kind of flower it was. It wasn't some rare exotic that had been photoshopped. No, this was a common weed that grew in cracks in the pavement. She'd seen it countless times before, but something about it today had made it stand out. Maybe it was the way the light hit its petals or the fact that it was growing in the middle of winter. Whatever it was, she felt compelled to touch it. And the second she did, it died. She hadn't realized it at the time, but the flower had been cursed. It was a harbinger of death, a sign that whatever good fortune had befallen the owner was about to run out. She should have known better than to mess with it, but like all children, she had been drawn to it. After all, what could be so bad about a pretty little flower? When the first comment came in, she almost laughed. It was from her friend. "Is that the flower I told you about?" he asked. She'd never told him about the flower. In fact, she'd never even mentioned it to anyone. How could he know she had it? She typed out a response. "How do you know?" He replied with a shrug emoji. "I just have a feeling," he said. She bit back a smile. He was probably just trying to be funny. That was her best friend for you. Always trying to make people laugh. Even when he wasn't there, he managed to make her smile. She thought of him and her heart ached. She missed him so much it hurt. He had been the one who had introduced her to the world of flowers. They'd been dating for a few months when he'd taken her on a picnic. They'd spread out a blanket under a tree and he'd pulled out a basket filled with goodies. There had been sandwiches and chips and cookies and lemonade. But the best part had been the flower. It was a sunflower. He'd picked it himself, and he told her it was because sunflowers represent loyalty, adoration, and longevity. She'd laughed, thinking it was the corniest thing ever. But he'd just smiled and handed it to her. There's something so satisfying about flowers. They come in all different shapes, sizes, colors. There's so many of them, and they smell so good. In this video we're going to draw a flower. I want you to take your time with this one. I want you to really focus on getting the petals to look nice. And I want you to use your blending sticks as much as possible. Try not to press down too hard on your pencil because you don't want to make any lines. Remember, no lines in this drawing. Okay, let's start off with the center of our flower. It's gonna be a circle. Now I'm gonna color it in with some yellows and some light blues. We're gonna blend those together. Now I'm gonna add just a little bit of white to the center. I like to add a little dot in the center sometimes. You can do that too if you want. Now we're gonna set our pencils down and we're gonna get our blending sticks. This is the fun part. Take your blending stick and start making circles around that center circle. Go nice and slow. Make sure that you're blending out all of the colors. Once you get outside the circle, once you have a nice little circle going on, now pick up your pencil and add a couple more little marks. You can even go around the outside of that, just to make it look a little bit more detailed. Once you have your pencil marks going around the outside, now grab your blending stick again and smooth out those pencil marks. Again, go nice and slow and make sure that you're blending out all the colors. Once you have that layer done, now pick up your pencil and add a couple more little detail marks. And now we're going to move on to the next layer of our flower. Now I'm going to use some purples and some pinks. It doesn't really matter what color you choose here as long as you pick two colors that are fairly close to each other. Now I'm going to use my